You're the Florida version of Sex in the City, JB.
That's when I was smoking my cigars.
Never stop chasing your dreams.
And never say never.
Don't be an asshole today.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
We are having cold weather.
So I heard.
Usually.
Like,
How's everything? Hence the turtleneck. How's everything
yeah.
there in the UK?
It's just as chilly. Trying to settle in, trying to kick the jet lag. It seems like it goes away for one night and then comes back, and it's just brutal trying to get a full night's sleep.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I know you've been doing a lot. You had the in-laws, right? When you got back.
Yeah,
Not right away,
I
right?
didn't stay here though. I stayed at Hazel's. That was
Right.
probably like the best sleep that I had was the day that I got in. I slept over Hazel's, but you know, whatever. It's all good now. We're all back to normal. And I don't know about you, but I think this is the perfect guest for January 2025 in the state that we're in. So let's bring on David Lester. He is a
Absolutely.
he's your favorite gay finance guy, and I think he's going to be a huge help. So let's let in David Lester.
Yes. Totally perfect timing.
Honestly, how bad do we need
Me
this?
too.
Right? There he is.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, David.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going well. It's really it's been a whirlwind week, I'm sure, as you guys would know.
Yes.
I'm in England, even though I'm American, I'm in England. I
Oh,
feel
fun.
a little bit safer.
Yeah.
Um,
But not that safe because they had riots when I was there in the summertime and they were
yeah,
rioting as well. It's like the
yeah,
whole world, it just needs to like
Yeah,
take a step back and
it is.
figure out what's going on.
Honestly, it doesn't really
I
matter.
agree. I agree, David.
Um,
Yeah.
David, we were just saying how this guest interview could not be more timely. Um,
Yeah.
like seriously, January 2025, and everybody's in a freak, and we need to know what we should be doing. I mean, I'm going to ask you a big, sweeping, broad question that
Yes, of course.
we can then veer off in all the different avenues. But like, what do you see people's like finance, and let's just kind of narrow it to like the middle class, but what do you see our queer financial future as looking like?
Yeah, so it's yeah, it's not only like I think everyone's finances is hurting right now, way more than people expect. I do individual coaching as well, in one-to-one with individuals, and I can see kind of under the hood with people that you wouldn't expect they would, they'd be doing. You would think they'd be doing well because they have big incomes, and there's like these big um, problems, obviously, the big financial problems kind of looming. Never mind um, someone down the salary range. Like I can't even imagine how people are even, keeping their apartments and things like that. Just with
Yeah,
inflation and people, landlords are just like handing in bills, being like, "Oh, it's another $1,000 a month," which
Yeah.
yes,
is,
yes,
it's
I thought that
yeah,
was
it's really crazy.
like such a COVID thing, but it's because nothing was like actively done after COVID was over. They just went back to that way of taking
Yeah.
advantage. I mean, it's kind of taking advantage of people right now.
They really are.
Yeah, it's
One
scary.
of the things I think that kills people that live in places where they have an HOA is
Oh,
Yep.
like you hit with an assessment. I got hit with a $20,000 assessment for each apartment during COVID in my building. I mean, they thought nothing of sticking that because they were redoing all the patios. And
yeah.
they thought nothing of putting that on the door during COVID because I live in a building with a lot of older people. So they're all retired anyway. So it wasn't like they weren't working during that time. And I would have thought like it might have been a little better, like maybe people could ease up on it, but the HOA fees are just, if you live in a place with that, you just get killed with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it's
used to
really
too in
killing
my
a lot of
condo.
people.
After a
Yeah.
hurricane, I think we got hit with like a $40,000 assessment for flashing that got
Wow.
blown off, you know.
Yeah.
And it seemed like, like wouldn't there be a contingency fund for something like
It
that?
would,
And it's a it's hurricane damage, but I worry
yeah.
about things now, David. I mean, honestly, just watching the news for a half an hour, like that's all I'm allowing myself anymore is like a half
Yeah,
hour and that's it. But the thing I see about like maybe possibly doing away with FEMA and letting states handle things on their own. And, I mean, it's all stuff that I feel like people are bracing for, and yet they don't know how to brace for it. Like,
it's true.
should we be watching our frivolous spending? Should we be cutting our entertainment budget? Because I feel like we need that more now than ever.
Right.
It's true. But you can still have fun for free.
Yeah, true. It is. You do have to look at those
The
websites,
concert tickets, you can't go see a concert anymore. It's like $1,000 for
Yeah,
two.
it's terrible.
Oh, it really is. I know. Even like trying to go to like a Yankees game or something like that for like hot dogs, it's like the hot dogs are more expensive than the hot dog and a beer is like more than, the actual ticket to see
It's so
anything.
true.
It
It's
is crazy.
I feel like we just get nailed every which way we go, no matter what we try to do. But I
It's yep.
guess, like, do you find that people are coming to you and saying, where should I be cutting back? Should I be saving? Should I not have my money? Should I not be stockpiling cash right now? Like, what
Right.
should people kind of be aware of, like gently aware of, without creating like a inherent panic
Right.
about their
It
finances?
totally depends on the individual because I see a lot of people that make a lot of money but frivolously just spend it all. So it
Mhm.
depends who we're chatting with, but I think that the best way in this scenario is to like grow your way out of the situation. And if there's a way that you can do, if you work for yourself, try to get more clients. Sometimes when you concentrate on your business, just because we're all in our minds right now with all this dystopian future that's like kind of leering over us, concentrating on your business can be a great way, or your career, or saving money, or investing is a great way to focus and have at least one rock, like one bit of
Yeah.
stability where everything else is kind of mayhem. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun to do the whole thing, to like cut back, play a game, start a savings account. The only thing that is actually better now is our savings accounts, where you can still get, a four, if a 4% interest rate kind of thing in a high interest savings account. So play a game where you decide not to go out for supper and take that $100, or it's like now it's $100 per person if in
It's
New
so
York you
true.
like go
Yeah,
out
yeah.
for dinner. So if like if I save like a week, I have $700. It's like it's a lot of money. So and play the game
Right.
of like try to put it into the savings account, and it and because you have to have a positive attitude to this, or it will crush you. So
Yeah.
like not watching TV, and then just focusing on the positive, your career. Try to get a promotion, even little baby things like going to HR and being like, hey, can you match my 401k? I want that free massage. If I get the free massage and I haven't used it, I want it. Even I'm gonna get, if I have free sunglasses, I'm getting the free sunglasses,
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
it's overcast. It's like those little bumps, that just make you go forward.
Right.
Normally it's like maybe going to a bar, or eating, or commiserating and watching the news or something. But instead, if you can do one that's positive for your finances and for your soul, I think that's what you have to do. Just we're dying of the war of attrition the other way, so we have to like push it and like try to build our financial network going the complete opposite way.
Yeah, like over here in England, we went through a rough year, and I think everybody's still going through it because we had an energy crisis, and like my gas bill used to be like 80 pounds. I paid 80 pounds every 3 months. Like it was so not a lot. And then we went through this crisis, and I get this notification that my gas bill was now going to be 320 pounds.
Isn't that
everything else.
crazy?
And I was like, that is
Wow.
quite a jump.
That's
Like,
a huge jump.
yeah. And then
Well, it's because of
here,
Russia, right? All the Russian oils come off,
yeah.
the
And then
Russian
this
natural
year, what
gas.
they did was they estimated what they thought they were going to use, that we were going to use. So then it was like around 120. So they got their big money, the first time around, and then they went, oh, wait, this isn't working because there's so many pensioners here that are on a very
Hmm.
like, fixed income. If that like they don't have like, Social Security and Social Security disability and all kinds of stuff. I mean, they are literally, down to the penny with their finances, the older folks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
them with the bill like that, just through they would just, there I saw stuff about like, do I buy biscuits or do I pay my electric bill? I mean, it was like,
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think that we're leveling off from that now. But we're also house hunting right now. My wife and I are house hunting, and
So
you know,
exciting.
it's gonna be challenging. Yeah, I know. We were literally on our way to see like the best house ever in
yeah.
the area that we wanted today. Driving down the motorway, we get a call, and it's the realtor, and he goes, guys, the seller has accepted an offer on the house, so
Oh,
they're gonna pull all the viewings now from here on in. And we were just like,
geez.
oh my God. Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
I
But they
think another.
they
Oh, sorry,
went
go ahead.
on 2 weeks ago,
Oh
like
wow.
2 weeks ago, and they have accepted an offer on their house, which is sickening. Like it's just like, oh my God, we could not have moved any faster on this.
yeah, yeah.
But the only
Yeah,
good
they.
Was it
and
meant to be?
yeah, but I just think like, well, that's good because like if we put our house on the market, we'll probably sell it, just as quick. So,
Hmm.
we're still gonna have some skin in the game and just keep, just keep
Yeah,
looking and looking and looking. But yeah, it's crazy the differences, because then I was just in the States for like 6 weeks over the holidays, and I was talking to my cousin who is selling a condo in Sarasota and buying a townhouse. And she was telling me about the interest rates in the States, and I was just like, whoa, oh my God. I guess I should be happy that our interest rates are a heck of a lot lower than yours. But
they are a lot cheaper there. It's
yeah,
funny. It's amazing to look back at 2019, even 2021, where interest rates in the states, mortgage rates were like 2.7, and now there's 7.
yeah,
Yeah.
seven.
It's
Exactly.
insane.
It's crazy.
Uh, It's crazy. And even rent, like my rent has probably gone up, another like at least 30% since 2020,
Yeah.
21, right? Like it's just like it's completely insane how you look back. And back then, I don't feel like I was like have had an Aston Martin and like rolling down the window and asking people for Grey Poupon,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then keep going with my driver. I don't feel like 2020, 2019 was
It's
that
so
prosperous.
true.
And even interest rates, you see that the interest rates are like, oh good, now we're going to start slowly lowering interest rates. We've gone down to like 2.3%, but that doesn't deduct the like 40% because it was up 10%, 15%.
Yes.
So on some things we're up 40% higher than we were in 2019. So if it doesn't mean it's going down. Like baby carrots at Whole Foods are not going down.
Right.
They're
Right.
just like barely going up.
Yes. It's
Once
really,
things go up, they never come down. Like that's just the
what it
rule.
seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah, like once they're there, they're not going back, especially if they see you're buying it, you're paying that.
Right.
You're okay with it. Well, we'll just keep it like that. It's crazy how this is working out. What are
It
you
really is.
what are you hearing like from your clients? Like what's their biggest concern?
Um, I think just uncertainty as well. Like for years and years, people thought that working for like a big bank or a big blue chip company was the safe way. And then, the rest of us entrepreneurs, it was more dangerous. And now I think entrepreneurial world might be safer because you'll just see
Yeah.
them a whole floor at, because I have lots of banker friends. I worked in
Yeah.
banking for a while before I did this. And you see whole floors of them gone at some point
Yeah.
on a whim. And it's not because the companies aren't making lots of money. It's because they weren't making an excessively larger amount than the shareholders were expecting. So the stocks have to go up. So it's amazing how they can just swivel and like wipe out, a
Mhm.
whole floor of people. So I think they're really nervous
Yes.
and
Yeah.
keeping, really like watching, just being in there early, leaving late to make sure that they're not in the chopping block. So
Yeah.
just like this
Yeah.
constant instability around everything,
Yeah.
is just adding to it. And again, going back to the solution, I think it is concentrating on your finances, putting
Mhm.
down goals, really with your career, asking for raises. If it's a business, something that you've always wanted to do that you'd like to do, you could probably make money at, especially if with the online, right? You can sell books, courses, all these kind of things. If you're great at being a chef or something like that, then you can make these videos and they totally take off. Like there's the pasta queen who I love all the time,
Oh
and
my
she like
God,
flips her
yes.
hair around.
Oh, I love her. Oh my God. Honestly, it's like watching Sofia Vergara,
Did you
Yes.
from
see the
Modern Family,
pasta
except
queen?
she's Italian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pasta queen?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on
She's a past.
Amazon, Jay. It's on Amazon. It's
Uh,
fantastic. It's so
pe-
fun.
People are
Is it?
doing that, they're making themselves like stars on the internet, and it amazes me what people will watch, first of
Uh-huh.
all.
Yeah.
People, and sometimes it's like the freakiest, craziest people are the ones
Oh,
that have
but be
half
honest,
a million followers.
there wouldn't even be a TLC channel if there wasn't a thirst out there for the weird.
Right,
You
right.
know, I mean, it
True.
shows you now that people are kind of moving, to online stuff, and YouTube
Yeah,
it
yeah.
has exploded. I mean, a lot of that too has to do with, well, I just saw Amazon boosted their, or not Amazon, Netflix raised their prices again,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah, yep.
how dare
You know
they?
what?
It's like they're taking advantage of the fact that we don't want to watch news, don't want to be scrolling
Right.
True.
social media and seeing all this. So we're like happy to binge now, and they're like, oh, we got them where we want.
Yeah, yeah, and everyone has an Amazon because there's like Peacock, HBO Max. So before there was just one Netflix where you could watch it. Now
Yeah,
we have. If you
Right,
add up
right.
all of my Peacocks and everything, it's the same as like a $250 Verizon bill
exactly.
without having a
Exactly,
Verizon bill.
Yes. I was
exactly.
saying this to my stepdad when I was home, because like I was in my old room and there was a TV in there, and I went to watch what was it, a football game or something that was, but I couldn't find it on regular TV. And then I texted my friend. He goes, "Oh, it's on Amazon." I'm like, "Oh, right, right. Okay. I didn't know they were doing football on Amazon." So then I go to Amazon and it's not logged in, and I'm like, "Huh." So then the following week or whatever, I went to watch something on Netflix and it wasn't logged in, and I'm like, "Oh my God." So I go to my stepdad. I'm like, do I have to use my own passwords for these things, or do you have pass-" So he's like, yeah, yeah, I'll sort it out for you. And then I come in later on, he's got this long little piece of paper and it's got every streamer
Aw,
and every
Uh,
password so
oh,
I could watch all the television.
Rick.
You guys have a
Love
lot of
Rick.
things. I
oh
mean, you
yeah.
have like
What?
Max and Peacock and Hulu, and we have
Too many
none of that.
choices.
We have none of,
Really?
I mean, we
Wow.
have like Paramount Plus and Disney and Amazon, Netflix, Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And then
like the BBC charges in your cable bill. Like, so that's how the BBC is allowed to
oh, the TV
exist.
license. Yeah, you have
Yeah,
Oh,
because it's like
yeah,
bill. Like you have no choice. You pay for
right,
them no matter what.
right.
Yeah.
You have to have a TV license, and
Yeah.
but that also allows you the iPlayer. Like
Hmm.
I can download that. We have iPlayer on there and go back and watch all the Graham Nortons that we've missed, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, that's been the way of the land. And the thing about it is the good and bads. It's great because there are no commercials and anything. It's bad if you need to pee or if you need,
Yeah.
you know,
It's true.
that sucks. But you're right. It is you do have to pay for a TV license in order to view the BBC, but also BBC One, BBC Two, BBC
Yeah.
Three, BBC Four, BBC Radio. I mean, it's like you got yeah, but it's peanuts compared to what other platforms are charging, absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, and there is some controversy around that right now. I haven't really looked into it because I haven't been home long enough, but I have seen some stuff, mainly because I think Traders is such a big hit over here.
Yes.
And everybody that wants to watch it, it's only on BBC or iPlayer, so that forces them
Oh,
if they haven't had a TV license because they're like, fuck BBC, you know, government run.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they want to watch
Don't have
something the whole,
anything to watch.
yeah, the whole country's watching it. Now they want to be a part of it. It's a struggle. Like, what do they do?
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's how they, because the BBC's always had one amazing show, like Absolutely Fabulous, or
yep.
Keeping Up. I can't remember. Yeah, Keeping Up with Appearances, like those British shows, and then they
Oh,
like there's
keeping
a
up
lot of
appearances.
quality.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
wife
Or
loves
It,
have you ever seen or Plebs? Have you seen Plebs? It's like the ancient Romans called Plebs.
Plebs. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Look for that. It's really if you haven't seen it, it's really good.
It's so funny. It is the fun
Yeah,
one of the funny. It was one of the first shows I really got into when
yeah.
I got over here. And then I've noticed that all the people that have started it have gone on to do such bigger things now. You know,
Yes.
it's incredible. But it was such a funny show. The
I've
con.
been desperately trying to get the Split Barcelona. I can't get it here. I don't know how to get it. Like I
Yeah, you can't
BBC,
because you can't.
but
You don't have iPlayer.
is that what
Yeah.
it is? Like I don't know. Is that something I can get
But
to
I
see?
think there's BBC America. Is there BBC America? I think you can subscribe to that.
yeah, there's BBC America. But
Yeah.
Maybe I could do
JD, in
that.
your case, where were you watching the split on what streamer?
Hulu on Hulu
Then you will eventually get the
eventually.
Barcelona one, but it just won't be
Yeah,
until it's complete, you know, it's done over here
I
and
have
then
to
you go
wait.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's just one of
Fear not,
one.
you'll get it.
I love that. I have to say, David, I love the title of your book, I Love Money. Like it caught my eye when Denise sent me your information and I was
Yeah,
looking through I did the deep dive, not to sound creepy or anything, but I always do
Yeah.
that with our guests. And when I first read where it says, enhance your relationship with money to live your ultimate life. I first read it because I was reading it quickly. Enhance your relationship with money. And I'm like, that's a great way to enhance your relationship. Throw some money at it. You're gonna
shower gifts, shower them with
Yeah.
gifts, shower them
That's
with
right.
gifts.
have
You have to
I
be a
was
sugar mommy. You have
Yeah,
sugar mommy is the
yeah,
way to have the base
right.
relationship, right?
I was like, what? And I'm like, oh, there's
right.
no comma there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think
Yeah, my
yeah, I
sorry,
think
go ahead.
that's the ultimate title for a book right there.
I love the title. Yep, I love it.
I have it on my t-shirt. I don't know if my boobs
I
are
love
in
I
it.
it, but
see
they're
that.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Perfect.
And I think that's the whole. What I did is I worked at Merrill Lynch as a private banker when I was pretty young, and well, when I was a baby banker, and I learned from the wealthy clients their perspectives, how when the market's going down, or if they want to buy something, or they're doing things with their business, they're always really positive and always thinking how to grow or enhance or take advantage legally of the system to borrow from. If they have a big stock portfolio, they can borrow from that and buy a home, and then you can write off the interest. There's all these things you can always do, and then you can get stock portfolios to pay off the loans. Like they're always thinking in this creative way. And so that's where the idea from the book came, where I don't think if you just go to read the normal financial books, they're always like, don't drink lattes, or
Right. Right.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
Exactly.
yeah,
and
Yeah.
that's not a money mindset. That's like a
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a scarcity mindset, which is
yeah,
the opposite of what wealthy people have, and that's why they're wealthy.
right,
Exactly.
So
right.
that
Yes.
was always my idea, was to have these tips and tools, which, well, and some of them are more complicated, but you don't have to. I obviously know that everyone doesn't have $1 million in stocks that they can do these things with, but you know that it's possible, and so it just opens the door that if I save really hard and over years and let the market do its thing, because it does go up over a longer period of time, that I will eventually have $1 million, and then I can start doing these things. So it just shows you like there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that if
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
if you're diligent and excited about money and don't see it as this horrible thing, don't get your statements and
Right.
just leave them under the pillow or wherever
yeah,
you hide them, under the
right.
cat litter.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, exactly.
then
You're
Though.
great
get
to
in
look
there
at
and
them.
see what you have to do. Yeah.
Right.
That's
So
true.
Right.
I
But
think
it's like cool. Admit it. You love people like money. Like, why do we have to like deny that? And
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut.
Yeah, it does. It seems like you would sound like a bit like conceited if you walked around saying, "I love money, I love money." But
but I think, and in the book I show that once you dig down and figure out what makes you tick, so there's value exercises. It's funny how, like, this is how when you talk to a wealthy person or like me who does this as a living, I first talk about values. I don't talk about money for a while. I start talk about values, what makes you tick, what you want to accomplish, what'll really make you happy. Because a lot of time we're spending all this money trying to get a quick fix or a bump from like a new car and all these things, and
Yes.
that's not really what makes you happy. If you decide that you have a value of like freedom, then it is trying to work your career so that you have more time to travel and experience that freedom, which truly makes you happy. Or if you have a virtue or a value of wisdom, then you put money into education. You always want to be studying and
Right.
learning new things, and maybe pivot your career so that you could be a professor or something where you could do that full time and make a living doing that. So it
Yeah.
really happens understanding your values and then appreciating money and knowing that money will be the fuel to those values so that you're more
Right.
content and you're not just kind of flopping around trying to decide spending willy-nilly and maybe
So
way too
true.
much money on or and being in the wrong career and all these things. It's funny
Right.
how we only
Right.
look at money as accounting dollars and cents, but it's way more than that. It's really freedom and wisdom and peace and
Right,
security and
Yeah.
all the
right,
values that float around.
Exactly.
right.
It is.
You
It's
know,
so true. Everybody just looks at the hardcore numbers. Yeah.
right. And people, like you say, Denise, like people feel like if you admit you love money or you like nice things, like people are like, well, who do you think you are? Or it's
Right. Yeah.
bad that way.
It's
But
like a negative response.
right. And
Yeah.
on one thing, like people like a lot of times, of course, you like money because you like nice cars and nice things. But also, like now I'm at the age where my mom is 91 and I'm seeing how much money it takes to take care of yourself. If you live to be that old and you're not physically, you need help, like my dad was not a big I don't think they thought they were going to live that long, so my dad's been gone, but my mom she's doing okay. She's okay, but most of her money now that she's got is in her house, is in her home, and
Hmm.
she's living there, so it's like
Yeah.
it just opened my eyes to see, like you just said, like money doesn't just mean I want the nice car. It means freedom. It means not worrying when I get older if I need someone to help me get to bed at night. Not
Yeah.
everyone has children. She's lucky she has three of us and my
Yeah.
one sister that lives with her who
Right.
doesn't want to have a life. So she lives with my mom, which we're grateful
Fair
for her.
trade-off. Fair
That's
trade-off.
Yeah,
good.
there's a
Yeah.
trade-off. But the thing is that at my age, I'm 62, it's a big eye opener to say, "Oh my God, how much time do I have left? Like, did I save for this?" Because it's expensive to have someone even part-time.
Yeah.
So it's true
Yeah.
what you're saying. Like, do you suggest people get into home health care insurances young, or do you think it's better to
I
just
know
save your
my
own money?
my mom, I tell you what,
Your
man,
mom, I know, your
she was
mom
selling long-term home health care
knew.
way back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like in the early 90s,
yeah,
and she would
yeah,
target the younger people who
Right.
would
right,
it wouldn't cost them a lot, but now they're getting older and I think they appreciate it more. And not only was my mother smart enough to get policies for herself and my stepdad, but my mom is now in a wheelchair with advanced progressive MS and has a
Mm.
home healthcare nurse coming all the time and doesn't have those fears like what JD's saying.
exactly,
So it
exactly.
was,
But
I
like
know how she had the foresight to see,
that
she
was
wasn't
awesome.
sick then when she was selling either. Like
Wasn't
she was
sick.
fine. So, that's one thing I think that sometimes you have to prioritize, you know, um, things that, money that's going out,
Right.
Absolutely.
But see, the
And
thing
prioritize
if
that
you target it as well, it'll help because you have to choose if you because insurance can be expensive.
yeah,
right.
So you have to sit down and crunch. This is part of like getting in there and really
Yeah,
knowing it,
yeah,
understanding it, loving it, enjoying it, and crunch the numbers because sometimes in the insurance they do have larger fees. So if you looked at putting $800 into that for 30 years versus $800 into the market, in my experience, the market has grown more, and
yeah,
2 million bucks sitting in a bank account is just as good as the insurance kind of
right,
thing.
right,
But it's also like if you want to know that it's taken care of,
right.
then that makes sense.
That
But
peace of
you're
mind.
right. You have
Yeah,
to yeah, you have to do it early and decide these things because when
Right.
you're older, you have to
You have the
whack
time.
away a huge chunk of money to
Right.
make up
Right.
those years, and
Right.
it's almost impossible now. And I realize that,
Yeah.
but that's why you have to like find another job if it's $800 a month for 20 years at 8% will get you $2 million. So you just have to figure out how to get that $800. Like one
Yeah.
way, it's either
Yeah.
cutting things, making more things, going to
Yeah.
work and always getting another $10,000 a year raise. So you just have to plug that in. So it goes rent, mortgage, like whichever you have, and then your investments or insurance to know that
Right.
it's set, and you'll sleep way better. And never mind when you actually have to retire at 59 and a half or whatever that number is, 70, 75, whatever it is,
Right.
then
Now
then
it's
you
different.
know that it's set. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
And we're gonna live. My grandfather lived to 105.
oh my
Wow.
God.
So, your mom might
Wow.
live, she's still, she probably still has some miles in her, like we're all gonna live like way longer, I think.
She's a
I
sassy
think
Like as a
that's,
queen.
population.
Yeah, your
that's
mom's a sassy
true.
queen. She
My
is.
mom,
Yeah.
yeah, she's still a blonde and she's got her bling but she had a couple of mini strokes that slowed her
Mm,
down to where she's afraid to do certain things. But she didn't start till she was 80 to put money away. But I mean, my dad had a business and everything. It wasn't like they didn't have
mm,
anything. But what she saved for insurance really wasn't anything. It was like $62,000 it came to. She put 50
mm.
in at 80. But like I was wondering, do you think it's better, like when you said you could do the market, like your thing that your mom had, Denise, is an excellent policy from what you said. But I see older people now, like my mom's policy only paid if she was home. My aunt's policy only paid if she was in a place, in a home.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
if
there's
you
a
have
lot of
to
different
know.
yeah.
So then I'm thinking if you only saved that money and invested it and it's just your money to spend how you want, you're not locked into whatever the insurance company's rules are to give you the money, but
Yeah.
because you don't know how you're going to need it. Like I was saying, your mom's policy is awesome, but do they
Yeah.
even write stuff like that anymore that's affordable? Like or when you're
Yeah, I have no
60, hard
idea.
to get
I
it.
have no idea.
Yeah.
But she,
So,
that was the cool thing is that my mom switched careers so late in life. Like we always had restaurants, like the most unsafe thing you could possibly have. We always had
Yep.
restaurants, so nobody had retirement plans and all that shit. Um, but she just got to the point where she was over the uncertainty, of having a restaurant, especially in Coral Springs, Jay, right? You can't have
right.
signage anywhere, parking is limited, like
Yeah.
everything looks against
Right.
business in Coral Springs. It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
yeah.
So she
Yeah.
just like got out, got an offer on the place, took a huge loss or whatever, and said, "Fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore." And then she jumped into like she worked for a lot of the people that visited us. David, you mentioned Merrill Lynch. We were next to a Merrill Lynch real estate office and a
Yep.
Stadler real estate office. So the connections that we made in the 10 years that we were there, um, like architects, real estate agents, um, I mean, you name it. There was people coming in for lunch regularly that actually became friends. So when my mom, decided this isn't what I'm going to do anymore, she just reached out to a couple of people, ended up being an office manager for an architect, which led them to their their contractor to build their house, was a part of that office. So,
Wow.
chop that cost in half. My stepdad's a commercial electrician, did the wiring. They were able to build like their dream house on a shoestring of a budget. Um,
Yeah.
from there, she went to interior decorating and then had the house decorated for
Really?
free because she worked for
Her
a
mom?
yes.
Oh, she is a great businesswoman.
Right.
Wow.
Then she decided to like hunker down and learn about long-term home health care. And that was
Wow.
around the time that I was getting married to a dude, and his family like just integrated with mine so well. But they were like 10 years older, than my mom and stepdad, and I think my mom like that's what spurred my mom on, like
Mhm.
just because she loved them so much. And she was like, I want them to buy into these policies and stuff because they're gonna, they're they're going to be of that age soon. We've already missed out on so much, but she did the research and she tailored and found plans that would work for that age group and for their budget, and then would switch gears differently when she would go meet with younger people. She was doing seminars in like mobile vans, like these,
Uh,
their
wow.
company had like mobile vans that would pull up to, like parking lots and stuff and did these. So,
Oh
and like
wow.
I tell JD, those policies still renew today. She still gets money from those
Awesome.
policies.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
It's
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah, you
they
really have to dig in and see the details because they change. They're so
yes.
drastic. So, and
yeah,
Yeah.
annuities are kind of the same thing. And people are like, I just want to make this money in the future. But from the calculations I've seen being in the money and not touching it has grown because it's, in the just if you buy it, and then even all the wealthiest managers say, "Oh, nowadays I would just buy the index, just buy everything. Apple's in there, Nvidia, the chips
yeah,
company, and
Yeah.
yeah,
it's done like 20% for the last 2 years. And if you just let it ride and don't take the
Yeah.
money, you could be, in what I've seen is you could be further ahead because you don't have the fees, but you can't raid the nest. You have to make
just
sure
leave it.
that
Yeah, you just have to,
yeah,
Right.
let it
Right.
grow.
It's
And
tempting.
I recommend doing different things. Like what I did, I bought a loft and then I lived in it for a bit and I didn't buy the biggest one I could. I found one knowing that would be a rental apartment. And then once I lived in it for a while, I could borrow money from it and buy another place. And then and I knew that the next three places would be rental places for me to lock in.
Oh,
So you want to
good
spread the money around, get rental
idea.
properties, get some stocks. If there is insurance and things like that you could do, it's you want to kind of spread it around and
right.
have actually it's like the Duchy of Cornwall, the king's duchy, which
Oh,
is so
yes.
when the and he's got all these things. He's got cottages. They
Yep.
grow things. He's like a
Yes.
vegetable farm, like an organic
Yes.
vegetable farm.
Yep.
So it's the whole idea. It's like we can be old money nobles, just like here, by doing our own little
Right.
things and
Uh,
Right.
spreading the money around. Get some property, get some stocks. If insurance is if you come across that and
Yeah.
you crunch the numbers and it makes sense because insurance can be a bit of a nightmare with fees and things like that, which are you have to go through the whole contract to
Yeah,
see
and there's so
over
many
yeah.
those
different
30 years. Yeah.
kinds. It feels
Yeah.
like insurance is never on your side. You know,
Right.
like
They
it
always
works
win.
against you in some weird way, which is kind of like, you know, the good part about being here is, you pay, your local council tax, you know,
Hmm.
and everything it's like quarterly, even like my work taxes and stuff it's quarterly. It's not once a year. It's so you're never in arrears, you're never too far ahead, you're just on time with everything. But and obviously having the NHS and free healthcare,
Hmm.
huge,
Right. Yeah.
factor of like that's so helpful, ridiculously helpful. And being diabetic, all my medications are free. Most people have to pay £7 or £9 if they're
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
ongoing, blood pressure medication or whatever. But everything for when you have diabetes, absolutely free. So it's, like you'll hear people bitch about it and say, "Oh yeah, but you got to wait like 2 months for an appointment," or
Right. Right.
like
It's the council.
things got messy during COVID, everywhere, but
Yeah.
things got very backed up here. And, that was definitely a problem. I mean, knock on wood, we haven't had, to do anything with that kind of treatment. But like I have a dedicated diabetes nurse, that
Yeah.
calls me and
That's
says, "Yep,
awesome.
6 months, time to come in, do your blood work, do this, do that." And I haven't really seen a GP, since I've been here because I just go to her for everything, and she's far less busier than the GPs. And even when I did do an emergent, I broke my nose. I worked at a pub,
Mm.
slipped in baby throw up on the floor,
Oh
and
my God.
Uh,
smacked my face on the concrete floor of the pub.
oh no.
Broke my nose and everything. I was in and out of the emergency room in 35 minutes.
Wow.
I was the scariest one in there because
Mm.
they were, no, let's just get her right in. So I don't know if that was why, but I can't complain about it. Like
Yeah.
I can't,
Yeah.
there haven't been, diabetic living in the States and like putting my pill, like skipping pills every other day to extend it, and you know,
Yeah.
ordering from Mumbai in Canada to get get the meds that I needed at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I never want to go back to that. I really don't. It's such a huge expense. It's ridiculous. And just, what healthcare costs now,
Hmm.
like just your own, and
God,
coverage
yeah.
is
Oh,
insane.
yeah.
So that's always
Yeah.
a fear. But I think, you have to have or learn that mindset of not being afraid to take a risk if you have that money, and you do want to
Right.
put it in
Right.
stocks or whatever, do a little day trading, what, but you got to be prepared to lose it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's me every time I walk into the casino, right, Jay? Like I walk in knowing I'm
I
gonna
was
put
just gonna say, or
$1,000,
go to the casino.
right? Like I can take that $1,000, have the mindset that I'm gonna double it, or I'm gonna lose it. Those are the only
Yeah.
two outcomes, or I might just come away even. So yeah, like if you don't have it, obviously you can't take that risk or do that. But if you
Right.
have it, I think it's really hard for people to part with it when they think something's risky. You know,
Yeah.
it's
And
Well,
it's when you're desperate too, like the lottery tickets, because you're desperate. That's just like the wrong time.
right.
Every time I spend money, put down my card, I always think, okay, why am I doing this? Is it supporting my values? Is it going to get me further
Oh,
ahead? Or am I doing it because I like, especially lottery tickets, you see the people always in the lottery line are the last people that should be in the lottery line.
yeah,
right. Right.
And
Right. Oh my God.
yeah,
Right.
and if you
nailed
can
it.
build if you can build a portfolio that pumps, so when you have dividend stocks, then if it pays you $1,000, like go gambling with that $1,000 because the
Right.
stock market got it for you, right? Your own little duchy,
Yeah,
Right.
right.
the
It feels
duchy or
like
whatever it is,
it's
pays
someone
that.
else's. It feels like it's someone else's. Like playing with the
Exactly.
house's money. Yeah,
Exactly.
money.
We
That's
used
right.
to have a used car business years ago, my dad and my ex-husband. And when they would repossess a car, so many times that car was filled with lottery tickets, like all over the
Yeah.
floor, like in the back seat. Like you said, like those are the people that shouldn't be getting the lottery tickets. But I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, because I don't think you mentioned credit card debt. When people get into credit card debt, is
Oh,
it better to try to, is it even real that they have credit card debt forgiveness, first of all? Like, do you have to be like totally owning nothing to get that? And then if you, or is it better to like try to go to one of these lawyers that will get the payment down? But then doesn't that take a hit on your credit? So now you have no credit when you do that? You have to start all over again?
there's a lot of
Yeah.
loopholes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happens. There are credit counselors. So there's also schemy companies that
Yeah.
will say, and that's the other thing. That's why I know that a lot of people are hurting because every second TV ad or on like TikTok or whatever is credit ones like
Yes.
coming in. But there's proper credit counselors that are part of the government or
Hmm.
licensed by the government. And then there's other ones that aren't so great. So at the point when you're constantly missing payments and you've tried, I think you always try to grow yourself out of debt, like take on extra jobs, do these things just to hustle to try to pay it down.
Right.
Yeah.
If your credit isn't horrible at the time, you can get a 0% card or switch in your bank. Sometimes they have new offers. So
Right.
open that new
Right.
card, take
Yeah. Yeah.
18 months, try to, if you have good credit, they normally will give you better credit and then, give you more credit cards
Right.
and
Yeah.
you can strategize and kind of weasel your way through that. If not, and your credit's already hurt and it's getting worse because you keep missing payments, and then your interest rate will go from 16.5 to 28 because you're missing payments. And then
Right.
when the snowball is against you, and it's growing and growing as it's going down, then talk to the credit counselors. And there's different ways you can either negotiate, you'll get a lawyer and you negotiate with the credit card companies and they'll set you up on a single payment. But again, that company takes a big fee. So
Yeah.
there's a fee in there, but they will consolidate it all. They'll also negotiate with the credit card company. So you only pay maybe like 30% or 40% of what you owe. So as your last resort, and it won't bankrupt you. And then last resort again, which the credit counselors will advise you on, is bankruptcy, where then it'll take 7 years for you to get credit again. And now like every new job looks at
Wow.
your credit rating. If
Yeah.
you're,
Right.
unless you're renting in a mom and pop kind of place, the big companies look at your credit. So it'll do some damage. So there's different degrees of severity on your credit. But yeah, and the credit counselors can help depending on your situation, kind of thing.
Right.
But both are costly. One, if you go bankrupt, it'll really hurt your credit for 7 years. And then the other way with these, where you get a company to negotiate for you, your credit card will get hit, but then as you pay it back, it'll come back more quickly than
Quick.
bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy, right.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah, you got to weigh a lot of options because
so many.
yeah.
I was just talking to someone who was a debt collector, like that's what she did for her job. And she said there are people who are like professional debtor, like debt, I don't know, scammers. I don't know if that's the right word, but like they will max out their credit cards and then they'll go between chapter 11 and chapter 13 and but once you start paying it back, you start getting the credit cards again, your credit comes back, you get more cards, you can max those out. Then
Oh,
mean, it
Oh,
was
geez.
like she said, you could see the people that it's the same names and they bounce and it's legal. Like they're not doing anything illegal, but it's kind of like slimy, but
Yeah.
hmm.
you see
Yeah.
people spending money. Like I see people, how do they go on vacations all the time? How do they afford this?
Yeah.
And then it's like
Yeah.
you find out, oh, they maxed out their cards and now they're, either calling up to get the thing down or they just file bankruptcy and start all over again. But does it take the 7 years? Because I heard that sometimes it's like could be 3 to 5 years and you're getting those cards again. But it's terrible because then you get back into that thing where you're
Feels
using the
like an
card again.
addiction almost, doesn't it?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know
Yeah,
people that get into
the
that.
scammer thing, you must get a new SIN, right? Because like a new social,
Right,
because I don't know how
right.
the rules I've seen. I've never talked to one of the scammer people, see how they do it, but the rules I know are it's like 7, 8 years. Like once you go bankrupt,
Yeah.
it'll always be on your record. But
Yeah,
maybe they're getting those high interest credit cards, like tons of them, because there's
right,
credit card companies that'll just give you $1,000,
right.
$1,500, $500. So maybe they just like take those and go bankrupt again
Yeah,
once they can get them after
yeah.
a couple of years. But if you think of credit cards, you can't live that like it's what
Big
it's like thousands of
pocket,
dollars a month.
right.
You know the
You'd have
worst
to
part
like,
about that? If they put that much thought
yeah,
Yes,
into not doing
yes,
that, and finding another way, they would pull
right,
themselves out of it. But it's just a lazy,
right.
easy way to do it. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
And
They need to come and talk to you, David, to
I
figure out a
know.
different way because
that's right. A positive, yeah. I'm all about white collar crimes if it's like if it gets you ahead, right? That's what I was saying that before. I'm like everything's on the table. Now. I'm obviously joking, but everything's on the table. It's like OnlyFans. I'll
Yeah.
shake my ass in like a chicken suit if someone's gonna pay whatever money for it. I'll be a go-go dancer if they like
Yeah,
chubby yeah,
right?
chubby finance guys, whatever. Everyone's got a kink.
there's a market. There's a
There's a
market for
market for
everything.
everything, as we've discovered. It's so true.
Exactly.
But I feel like, now the business that you're in and what you're doing, like people have got to be clamoring, to get advice to try and nail down a plan, because of the uncertainty. So, the advice that you've given us is so, good
Oh
right
yeah,
now. It's like people that there's no solid answers out there. So all you can kind of do is worry about yourself and, like you said, your career and, maybe a side hustle or something, to get and straighten out your priorities and just like hunker down and trying like we were trying to think of ways, now that we're looking at like a new house, obviously bigger and
Yeah,
better
yeah.
area. And we were like, oh my God, we gotta start cutting down. I seriously, I fucking order takeout like at least 4 times a week. I'm so sick of cooking and stuff. And yet I still do a normal grocery shop, which makes no sense. So like I gotta get that shit under control. I get that. But we were also talking about like entertainment stuff because we don't go out that much, So I'm doing well, my takeaways are kind of like what we'd spend on movie tickets, and yet we never
yeah.
go to the movies and all that kind of shit. But
Can
we were
reset
Yeah.
talking
it.
about like we're all in the same boat, So why
Yeah,
don't we, all split getting a couple large pizzas and having game night, and then it's not costing the person that's having game night
right.
money, you know. So we talked about like stuff like that, or going to pub quizzes and just kind of having a max limit on what you're going to eat and drink that night, but you
Right.
go for the fun,
It's
the pub
creative.
quiz. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, going to the free local farmers market things that they, have. It doesn't mean you have to buy a million things. I mean, just have a
Right.
wander and be outside in the fresh air, and all the fairs. They have so many fairs here for like, they have like an eco fair that talks all about like, the eco friendly vendors, that have sustainable this and, eco
Hmm.
that and all this kind of plant-based this and blah, blah, blah. And like those are also informative, as well as being a day out, and they don't you don't have to buy an entry ticket. Like you just show up at the park and they're there. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
you just start taking advantage of those kinds of things instead of, sitting home and ordering Indian takeaways.
No,
Like
totally.
go to a
Sorry.
J.D. Tanner concert instead of Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
I like the price
exactly.
of a couple of beers or, whatever it takes to walk in the door.
Right? Oh my God, not
Well,
having to buy
$1,000 a ticket.
a plane ticket, an outfit, a hotel stay. Yeah, the actual concert ticket. Like I
Right.
think that, going to see you is a much better idea.
Thank you.
yeah.
Support local, support local.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I tell my mom when my parents always come for Christmas to New York because it's so fun here. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take you to a show, get ready, and we'll go to Flaming Saddles where they have like the dancing cowboys on the bar.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, who wants to see who wants to see the Rockettes when you can see flaming like cowboy dancers going
Yeah,
along
and
with
like
that?
assless
So
chaps. Of
You're
course.
much
they're not they're
closer.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's like yeah, it's still entertainment, right?
Yeah, no, I do. I really do think like it's a joke, like, but today, I mean, here we had like this crappy news and we just turned the car around and got on a different
Yeah.
and went to like this
Oh,
amazing local farm and, bought some decent produce. I mean, I honestly, it's so interesting to see, like for me, like the food here is just so different. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Mm.
Like, oh my God, I want to try that. And I'm gonna try this, and I'm gonna get, all that kind of stuff. And then I go back to like my roots and I'm like, oh, is this focaccia dough? Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that. But yeah, we did like a little shop to make us feel better because of that shit news. But then by the time we got home, the guy had emailed us a different place to go to maybe come and see next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
And kind of liked it better.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same area, bigger house, more square footage. We were like, whoa. So, it's not always, a bummer. Like you can, you know, like you said, look for the positives and
right.
try
Love that.
and
Absolutely.
I felt good
And
about
even
shopping
in
local,
and it, yeah, no, like things like that. And if you're the one positive thing, we were just talking about how America doesn't have healthcare and all these things that are annoying, but we have this entrepreneurial spirit, which I think the rest of Europe doesn't have like we do.
Yeah.
So if there's something that you can make something amazing from here that they would like at that market, like maybe, network and maybe there's an idea in
talk about
there
it
to
all the
like,
time. There's two
yeah.
things I feel like they need here are like they don't have screens on their windows.
Hmm.
No screens. And I'm like, I should start a business that makes screens for all these odd size weird windows that they have, because it sucks in the summer when you want to have your windows open and you've got mosquitoes and bugs and spiders and creepy crawlies and everything
And
coming
a family of foxes in there.
Yes, and foxes, exactly.
Right.
But yeah, and because their windows are so different from ours too, like a lot of them are, they're, like push out windows, so like you would have to have a screen that kind of lifts up so you could push out your window and then put it back down. And I'm like, oh my God, my mind is just, going crazy. It's just one of those things where I'm like, there's a need for that here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
American food. Like they still don't know how to do
Right.
sauce here. They don't know how to make good like Caesar dressing. They don't. So there's a few niches I that I think, when we get settled in a new house and I'm bored and I don't
Yeah.
like right now where I live like right on a high street. So I don't drive because I don't have to, my
Yeah.
for my hair salon, my market, like my dentist, my doctor, everything is on this one main road that I can walk,
Wow.
Yeah.
like the cafes and the coffee shops and the bars and the pubs, everything. And I'm not going to have that when we move. So
Mm.
I'm going to need like a little something, something to focus on. And it's So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I just keep like writing things down when they come to me, just write
Hmm.
things down. I mean, I've written 3 books. They don't make you a lot of money. I'll tell you that right now. Like being
Yeah.
a writer doesn't make you a
Yeah,
lot of money, especially a queer author. You're lucky if you can find publication. So, I thought, well, on top of that, there should be, maybe something else that we can dip our toes into and find because it's not hard to open businesses here. It's really not.
Hmm.
And you also, that was something else I wanted to ask you about too. Grants.
Oh.
Do you find that people that like, I have a friend that works in a grant-based LGBTQ business and they are
Oh, nice.
reeling and spiraling, thinking that they're going to be the first, to get their budget cut. They're not going to get those grants. They're not
Oh.
going to, after 30 years,
Yeah.
they're not
Oh,
gonna be able to
wow.
carry on. And I was like, look, you just said it, 30 years. That means it survived the first administration.
Yeah.
So maybe
Hmm.
that won't be a priority or whatever, but you can't right now. They're just like the Project 2025 is on their brain and they're freaking
Yeah.
out and everything. So do you think that grant-based businesses are going to have a harder time?
Yeah, especially now, because even with that Doge, they have that Doge department that isn't even a department, and they just have, some
Yeah,
billionaires working at
right,
it. The,
right.
the best people to like cut budgets for, everyone else of the billionaires.
Yeah,
Um, and
Right?
I think they're going to slash all that stuff because the deficit is like $2 trillion. So,
Oh,
but the
man.
good thing is there's lots of businesses that have those grants as well. Like another great book idea would be like listing all the grants for
Yeah.
LGBT
yeah.
plus
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Like that would be amazing, so you can find them. Because I
Well,
know
it's
I've
just the
worked on
source.
financial
Yeah,
literacy programs too, and there's tons of grants for financial literacy because the states there's nothing, right? They don't
right.
have you don't teach it in school or anything. So on some projects I've been working with that, there's lots of grants. So they're out there, corporations and foundations. So you just kind of have to look. So if it does shrivel up, in the government, then hopefully, there's
Yeah.
corporations and other pools of it
Yeah.
that
What
you
if
can
you're a
access.
donor? What if you're like a donor to those kind of businesses? Like I get emails from Centerlink all the time and I always donate, what I can, whether it's 30, 40, $50. When I get the emails for whatever fundraising
Yeah.
thing they're doing, I send the money. And they were saying that now everybody's like, nope, not spending money on anything anymore. Not, but
Oh.
so that's all drying up as well. Do you
Yeah,
think it's a bad
yeah.
idea to continue to donate to those things or?
Well, if you have money, then for sure go ahead and donate. I know if it's like a 501c here, then you can get a tax rebate.
Right, right.
So, and even I was telling you about the financial literacy program that I'm starting. It's going to be a nonprofit. So, yeah, I think that money is still, as an individual, if you can't afford to give, then you shouldn't give. You should be,
Right,
paying down credit card debt or whatever
right,
first. Like you have to make sure the foundation is
right.
solid
Yeah,
before you do
Right.
things like that. But
definitely.
if you can give to your whatever your that was another thing that I was saying I was mentioning is that purpose. So when it is so your finances can go side to side with your purpose. If you just pick one thing that you decide is your purpose, then have all those extra bits of money and cash that you have that you can afford to give towards your purpose. And it's a great way to refocus again. So focusing on your finances, getting them ship shape, and then funding any little bit of money towards your volunteering. It doesn't even have to be a check. It could be
Right,
volunteering,
volunteering. Yeah, yeah,
which is like free and like you said, make it fun. Like bring your friends if it's
yeah,
something that you all are members
yeah,
of and
yeah,
want to do. And then same thing. It's like, and you'll meet new people. That's the other thing with inviting people over, or if you like
Right.
Sunday roast is my favorite in Britain.
yeah,
So
yeah.
invite people that you just met and that could be business connections. Like I think we're amazing schmoozers here too.
Right. Right.
So do
Definitely.
that too, like invite people over or
Yeah,
go for like the pub for Sunday roast or something. And make sure and see, and you could create one of these things like a nonprofit or something that will benefit you financially and also will serve your purpose and help a lot
the
of people
community
along the
and help
way.
your community. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
I do enjoy your positive approach, David. You really do. Like it's such a scary subject, and it's so true. Like people don't want to look at the statements. You put them on the bottom of the bird cage or something or in the
yeah,
cat litter, like you said. But
Yeah.
to look at it from your perspective, does it make it so scary? Like with a positive, like the positive spin on things, and it's not the end of the world. Like if you do it the right way, you can
That's what we
get you.
need. Yeah, that's what we need to
Yeah,
understand. We gotta,
totally,
And
totally.
it's like with our the negative thoughts, like your neurons in our brains, our neurons are firing. So if you're like, this is horrible, I'm gonna have to like give blood or sperm, whatever, to make my
Right.
next credit card payment. It's like so it's like horror like that their neurons are firing. But if you're like, I want to do this, I want to do something with people I like, start a business with someone I like, I'm already in this situation, so it's forward, like, all guns
Right,
firing, we have to move fire forward no matter what. So you
yeah,
can either, it can be like a
right,
shrinkage,
right.
like negative, and then you're like in bed and you can't sleep because these are your negative thoughts,
Exactly. Yeah.
or writing down a plan, calling, emailing, setting it up. And our neurons are still firing. So it's either firing in a really positive way with
right.
with the linguistic part of our brain, or you're the mammalian, like, okay, we got to fight, right? Like
Yeah,
something's
yeah.
about to eat me, and I have to
Yeah,
like scratch and
exactly.
bite and
Fight or
scream and
flight.
kick.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Fight or
Exactly.
flight mode. Yeah, it's so true.
So,
Oh my God, this has been so enlightening, David. Geez, thank you so much for spending time with us and getting us on
yes.
a positive track here. I feel
This
like
is
everybody needs to
awesome.
go look for David's book, I Love Money by David
Totally.
Lester. And your website's dclcapital.com.
.com.
Okay,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
dclcapital.com.
Great
You can
logo.
learn about David and
Logo.
get on this positivity train and let's like
Yes.
get our shit together.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Yeah,
And it's like if you like I always say it in the book, it's like if you love money, it'll love you back. If you love your money, it'll love you back with a great life.
Yes.
So you
yeah,
just,
I
and it's,
really
and
love
then
that.
I get it. It's, I
yeah,
get it's like it's dire and everything. And I think people can sometimes be like, oh, it's easy for them to say that because they have whatever, and I'm in this situation when you're like trying to be positive, but
right.
it really works.
It
Yeah, it
is.
really
I
works. And
feel
you
like
have
you're
to,
right. It
yeah.
doesn't
And then you
matter if
just
you've
have to
got
grow.
like $500 in the bank or $5 million in the bank. It is about your attitude, your positivity,
Exactly.
your excitement about it,
Hmm.
moving forward, taking a shot at something you might not, but it is also, like you said, finding the values, your values, and putting your money behind that, and
Yes.
letting it work for you. So, you know what? Thank you so much for giving us a different
Yes.
outlook on this grim,
For
thing
sure.
that we're this vortex that we're in. This has
Yeah,
been
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you, David, so much for
totally.
spending time
Yeah.
with us.
It's been great chatting with you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome meeting you.
We'll
Thank
hope to
you
Nice
see
so
you
meeting
much
you
for
too.
soon.
being with
Okay.
us.
Yeah,
Bye,
absolutely.
buddy. Take care.
Bye bye.
We're